Today I'm going to give the bat pole a try. It's a little windy, I'm a little concerned. I'll see how it goes. Use my recycle bin to drag that baby out here because that 4x6 by itself weighs about 160 pounds. Bat house is probably another 50 or so. I'm going to try to hoist this thing up. Got my chains, got my pulleys. This is the receptacle right here. It's going to have a bolt go through it for the lower pivot point. Once I take this load off of here, this eye is what's going to hook into here. And once I get it assembled, we'll see what happens. I know it's windy today, so I hope this video does all right. I've hit a few snags. Here's where the theory and the actual comes in. I must have miscalculated the parachute cord because I'm probably about 25 feet short. My cable is about 25 feet too long. So I didn't cut it on purpose, just in case I had this problem. So this is where the cable goes into the 4x6. This is a piece of electrical conduit that slides through, comes out both sides. I'm going to attach my guide here for the lower piece, and then this cable right now I have running through a D-ring that's going to pull it up enough where I can get the parachute cord up in there for a secondary restraint. And this cable always gives me a hard time because it's so stiff, so I got me a nice C-clamp keeping tension on that winch. I don't need that thing to look like a fishing reel while this thing is on its way up. Well, once we overcome these small obstacles. Oh, the other thing, I haven't put a bolt or this pipe through this board since I cut it, soaked it, and fit it, and it shrank or twisted a little bit because this piece was a bit difficult to get through. It started pulling on the wood, so the alignment of the holes kind of changed as they dried, because this 4x6 was soaking wet. It was freshly pre-treated when I picked it up at the store. Alright, let me get this geometry thing set up here and we'll be back. Okay, another design flaw. When I first designed this, I had the cable running all the way to the bottom here. And that's why I routed this notch to the bottom. I was going to put the winch down here, and I said, well, I got to move the winch up, make it easier to operate. The problem is, I fold down on the board is right here, and my guide roller has to go above the winch or I can't get past it. So my intent to hoist this from the ground, I kind of flawed that when I moved the winch. But once I get up over this hump, I think it'll be alright. So I almost got enough parachute cord, but I do have that cable, and it is riding pretty tight against this 6x6. Also, these are the rollers. This is electrical conduit. This actually will go in between the two steel plates. This goes over the roller. Bolt goes through. This is UV resistant electrical conduit, PVC. So once we get the guide going, we'll see how this thing hoists up. The wind's picking up a little bit, but that cable will hold 1,400 pounds. I don't think it's gonna, if anything breaks, my concern is this point right here, I think is the weak link. I wish I could have put this cable in the center of this board, but then I'd have to stagger my bolt holes for securing it. So we'll see. Nobody got hurt yet. There she is. We got a winner. Let me get out of the wind. That thing is full up, which is mighty high. I'm gonna have to bring it down and re-drill the holes because I'd like to measure that. I don't know how high that is, but here are my guides. I'm probably gonna have to add a middle guide just to be safe. So I got my floating roller on the bottom of the 4x6. I got my fixed roller on the top at the bracket. there in the back. So I gotta get the tape measure out. I have no idea how tall that is, but it's kind of ridiculous. Didn't look that tall on paper again. But I may have to add a guide right here. I just put that up there for safety. I don't know if I need it or not. Now I got plenty of steel and bolts left over. I may throw one in there just to be on the safe side. And there's my masking tape for the full up position. And there's the full down position. We'll go put the camera in the background and we'll do a demonstration. Okay, I got it full up. I'm gonna go full down and go full back up. This is the easy part. That's a breeze to operate. Haven't tried the bolt holes yet. I don't know if they line up. I got to kind of guide the cable toward the end because I have 50 feet of cable on that winch, and its maximum capacity for 1/4 inch I think is 38 feet. So I'm probably really close to maxing that thing out because I only have, what is that, 10 maybe 12 feet of used cable at this point. Well, next are the bolt hole tries. My creation is 99.9% complete. I finally had that hoisted up to the full up position. I have the 3 5/8 bolts going through the pole. They have dock washers, which are really heavy duty washers. And that, got the upper guide, have the lower guide. I haven't added the intermediate guide yet. I may only use a temporary thing depending on how often I have to lift this up and down. I've got soil. I still need to add probably another 20 bags of dirt around this thing to try to fill it in nice, get a nice mound. I painted the concrete and the joint where the 6x6 goes in the concrete. I had that Gardner wet or dry left over, so I slathered that thing up pretty good. This should waterproof and keep the water from leaking down between the concrete and the 6x6. I also had a couple of blemishes on this 6x6. I went to Lowe's one day. They had 30 of these 6x6s and no truck. So Friday I took off of work, went and ran a truck, went to Lowe's. They had one 6x6 and this was it. So I had a couple imperfections. So I guess this board was made for me. I also slathered in a washer down here just to give it something. If I put whatever I put on there, give it something to push on other than the concrete. I also marked my full down line, and I've put black marks where stuff lines up, so when I use the winch I do know that I'm really close. These bolts went in fairly easy. They're tight fit, but everything lined up really well. I'm surprised how easy that was. I looked up in here this morning And that bat house to our left already has a bat in it. These bat houses over here, these had up to 20 bats, but they've migrated on since. I've had bats in these things since September, first week of September. There's babies in the opposite house, but there was one bat in this house, and I think that house is now empty, and I think he moved over here to the new accommodations. So I have an idea with this. If I get all the bats to migrate out, I can easily make this one telescopic, but I would use external pulleys. I got some extra pulleys left over from engineering mishaps on the other pole. So I'll find a way to put the pulleys external, some 1/4-inch steel brackets, bolt them on. My welding skills I haven't used since I welded that bracket over there on the top of that 6x6. Yeah, my welding was crude, but it's strong. We'll see. These are in pretty bad shape. So hopefully the bats will find that other one more attractive, because it is higher. They do like higher places. So for right now, my project is pretty much complete. I'm really proud of it. I designed it to be a one-man operation. I got it up, got it secured, didn't get hurt. I did attempt to put pup catchers on that new one. It was just too squirrely on the ladder. I haven't had any bats in this one that I know of. I know the bats only come out of that thing or fall out of it when it's too hot and overcrowded. I don't have an overcrowding problem at this point. So I'm gonna wait. If I see bats on the ground, then I'll contemplate putting that pup catcher up. I'm not gonna kill myself trying to prevent something that hasn't happened yet. So we'll see how the bats do, see what comes out tonight. Maybe those things are tiny. There could be more than one up in there. But for right now, everything seems to be working okay. It does sway a little bit in the wind. So does that one. That one's beefy. That's not going to go anywhere. So once I get my dirt and sod, that thing will be 100% complete. The one thing I did find, I was looking at the instructions for the winch, and the winch, the picture in the book was not very good. I don't know, I have this cable running over the crank bushing. The instructions, now that I looked at it closer, has this cable over this bushing, and that just seems too much of an angle for me. But after reading that this manual brake requires a minimum of 55 pounds of tension on it to be operative. If the brake doesn't have 55 pounds on it, it could slip and not hold. So perhaps they wrapped this over this piece to give it more tension. I'm happy the way it is. It's not going to be going up or down any unless it's a tropical storm or a hurricane. But you can see now that this thing is fully up. You can see how much, I don't have any room with cable. If I'm not careful when I crank this up, this will double up and slide over here. I had that happen to me once already on some test runs. So I just have to be careful of that. But right now that's solid. It's not going anywhere. And like I said, I had blemishes in the wood, a couple of cracks with splits. I put that wet or dry on it. So hopefully it's all waterproofed. It'll look nice once the grass grows in around it. All right, we'll see. We'll see who populates. There's my sand hill crane buddy. He hung around most of the day yesterday watching me put that bat house up. I think he might be looking for some food. Goes over to the bird feeder every now and then. Oh, there he goes. Back out to the nest. I did have a black swan here for a few days. And I fed it bread, and it loved it. Then I went online and read that bread's not good for them. It's like giving a 5-year-old candy. Listen to them things. They were doing that at 5:30 this morning. They were up early. But the swan has not been back since I fed it corn. It probably found somebody that would prefer to feed it bread. But my sand cranes or other pets, they used to peck on my back window. They don't do that anymore. But they still come out and keep me company. So like I said, it kept me company most of the day yesterday.